Hey everyone, Toby here doing part 4. Yeah, part 4 of my self-found hardcore sorceress. And not much of an intro this time, let's just pick it up where I left off. So that's just after killing Mephisto a bunch of times and, deciding that I'm ready for Act 4. So of course, first of all you do Isual, you get those +2 skills, whatever. You don't really care too much about them in Nightmare. But next up is of course Hellforge, which, for a self-found character, it's one of the most anticipated events in every single difficulty. But when you're playing hardcore and you're playing self-found, there's a couple of really crucial steps you need to take before you're allowed to smash that Mephisto Soulstone, because otherwise you just won't get a good drop. Step 1. You need to set the mood just right. When you're with a lady, it's all romantic and shit, so it's kind of similar, just less romantic and more Diablo-ish. So turn off the lights, light up a few candles, and start chanting. There's a very specific, and this is top secret, so only to my subscribers this is, being leaked out and stuff. Please don't tell everyone else. So there's a top secret chant that allows you to get the best rune drop you can, get every single time. And don't worry if you don't take notes as I'm telling it, I will write it all down in the description below. So here's the chant, and it goes like this. I met Diablo in a bar last year. We had a few drinks. Diablo told me I'm a cool guy, and that he hated his younger brother Mephisto. He asked me for a favor, to go to his old apartment, River of Flame Street, second apartment, borrow a hammer from the housekeeper Hephaestus, and fucking smash Mephisto Stone! So here I am, just doing Diablo's bidding. And once you say this chant properly, you then go with a bit of and a bit of and you're good to go. Smash it.
Nope.
Son of a... this guy told me it was absolutely legit. Even gave him $20 for this info. Fuck. Anyway, with all this, sidetracks and stuff, let's continue probably into my hammered in sorcerer story. So somewhere along the way or somewhere in the Chaos Sanctuary, I decided to stop maxing Frozen Orb because I already have plenty of damage in it. I had like 15 points spent in Frozen Orb, additional like 6 or 8 in Cold Mastery, so at that point I decided to start maxing Meteor, and then at some point way later in the game to come back to Frozen Orb and max it out. With that said, Chaos Sanctuary is pretty much a breeze. Diablo is quite easy, this little cute kitty running around versus my Frozen Orb. It's so funny. God damn it, Toby, you're so fucking funny. Yeah, so, well, at least Diablo drops something good, which is a pretty cute armor. It's not exactly good, but it does have lifesteal on it, which early on in the game is kind of hard to come by for your mercenary, especially if he's wearing inside, which doesn't provide any lifesteal. So yeah, this armor is kind of your savior in those cases. Later on, you'll probably be able to find Telrash's Mask quite easily, which is an amazing budget option with, resistance is life and lifesteal for your mercenary. And with that said, I continue into Act 5. So, Act 5, what do you need to... What? Whatever. What you need to know about Act 5 is the same deal as in, normal difficulty. Don't use your first quest reward for basis for your rune words. keep it until later in the game for, you know, some GG unique like Shake or Storm Shield and socket it with Lerzuk's quest. Other than that, you know, of course, do Ania, and pretty much in Frozen River, this is where you start using Fireball as kind of equally primary spell next to Frozen Orb, something. There's also a cool trick about Ania where you can actually use telekinesis instead of, you know, if she's guarded by some annoying mobs, you can just use telekinesis to speak with her as well as free her from that, you know, freezing ice, ice cave, cage, that's the word, right. So yeah, that's a cool trick. Other than that, of course, like free Ania, get those resistances up and running, and continue into Frozen Tundra, and kind of a cool clip over here how to just overall run and kite, teleport and kite, try to avoid all missiles from, you know, those harpies as well as just some archers. So some cool footage over here, just how to play it. Let's not expand onto that too much. Also random Foul Rune drops somewhere in the Frozen Tundra, which is pretty amazing. You can definitely use it for some rune words later on, for example Obedience. That's a pretty epic budget rune word just to get your merc's damage way higher. Probably not for Sorceress, because you always want to have Insight, but you know, for something like Hammered In or Barbarian, Amazon, etc, etc, it's an amazing rune word. Other than that, another thing worth mentioning before starting Ancients is that you kind of want to start teleporting shorter distances, but I did cover that in my previous video when I was talking about teleporting in tower levels when running Countess, but still same thing applies, because you've got, you know, those Pindleskin like monsters, reanimated deads or whatever they're called. So yeah, if you want to die, do teleport an entire screen away, but if you don't want to die, keep those teleports short in distance. Next up are, of course, Ancients. Not too scary Nightmare, they're pretty much the hell of hell, but Nightmare, they're pretty easy. All you need to know is basically cast some meteors on basically the ranged guy, because when you trigger those Ancients, he's the one who doesn't immediately attack you. He first casts those battle shouts, cries, whatever orders, so you can get a couple of extra seconds to land a meteor on his face. Other than that, just run around and kite, pretty easy. Next up, Bale's minions. At this point, I pretty much start using the static field glacial spike combo. What it means, literally, using those two skills in combination. You glacial spike the entire pack, or at least try to, then use static field as you continue glacial spiking them, and basically get all minions down to 50% health, and then continue glacial spiking and casting Frozen Orb or Fireball, whichever hits for more. So yeah, I do that. I kill Bale, nothing good drops, fuck my life, whatever. Instead of going immediately into hell difficulty, I decide to farm a bit more, basically Nightmare Mephisto, Nightmare Endariel. So I spend a bit of gold trying to gamble some Magic Find, and I do get a couple of items. So in total, I was running around 100% Magic Find. I did like an hour of farming Mephisto and Endariel, and I pretty much got not a single drop. So I said fuck it and went into hardcore. Then I gambled some more because my resistances were awful. They were pretty much at 0. And suddenly I realized I can actually make a pretty damn good rune word. Either Smoke or Lionheart. For Lionheart, I was actually missing one rune, which was Doll, so I decided to go with Smoke. Plus Smoke gives way more resistance. It's a pretty awesome rune word. Gives you 50 all res, so that's amazing. I was lucky enough to get those runes required for it. I mean, Lum, because otherwise it would be pretty damn hard to get a Lum rune in, you know, Nightmare. Perhaps Countess would be a decent option, but that would require a lot of runs and just cubing up. So anyway, I make the Smoke Rune Word since I was nowhere near reaching 105% faster cast rate breakpoint with Stealth. But at the same time, without Stealth, I can easily hit the 63% breakpoint. I decided, you know, Smoke is a pretty damn good option. What else you need to know about Hell difficulty is essentially White Monarchs start spawning, you know, start dropping as early as tower level. So basically while you're running Countess. So that's pretty amazing, because then you can make Spirit, which gives you, you know, 30% on average faster cast rate, which then in turn allows you to reach 105% faster cast rate breakpoint, which probably for Sorceress is the #1 most important breakpoint to have. Above faster hit recovery, above, you know, maxed out resistances, above max block, you name it. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind, and basically the same deal here as with every other step I was taking in Nightmare. Like, you reach a certain point in the game, then you farm it a bit, then you continue. So the 2 points I wanted to reach in Hell difficulty were Countess and Derelict, because that's where you can get some really GG items. Well, not GG, but something to let you move forward. Countess can drop you, you know, up to an ist, and the most important ones would probably be something like Lem, so you can make a Treachery for your mercenary, really boosting his defense capabilities, as well as actually offensive perhaps, significantly, just because, you know, Fade, the chance to proc Fade gives him a bunch of resistances, as well as 15% damage reduction, so that's a huge boost to his survivability. Next up, if he does have some lifesteal on his weapon or on his helmet, the 45% increased attack speed on Treachery also, you know, increases the rate at which he lifesteals. That's an amazing rune word. For yourself, there's not really any rune word you're looking apart from, you know, making a second Spirit. I mean, if you get some really GG drops, like GG runes, you can make like Heart of the Oak, but Countess isn't exactly good for that. As for Andy, she can drop a shitload of great items, you know, SOJs, you know, just pretty much any unique jewelry, except for notably Maris. And yeah, that's pretty much it. She can also drop a lot of other useful items like Shaco, Thunder Gods, you know, Viper Magi's, other armors with plus skills and faster cast rate, like Q Higgins, etc, etc. So yeah, I finish up Act 1 and I continue farming. I do improve my shield a bit for, you know, from one shield to another, same rune word, just for some extra increase in block rate, because running tower levels, you know, for Countess is pretty damn dangerous. And since my Merc is dying so often, I decide to actually up his armor. It's a pretty cheap recipe when upgrading from normal to exceptional. It gets far more expensive for your, you know, your first character in Self-Found if you're looking to upgrade from exceptional to elite. But yeah, from normal to exceptional, it's pretty damn cheap. So at this point, my plan is to keep on farming Countess for runes. That would allow me to make Treachery for my Merc, and Andariel. So yeah, a couple of runs in, this happened. Let's take a look at it in slow motion. And yeah. So this concludes my story of Self-Found Sorceress. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. And it's completely my fault. So, can't complain too much about it. And I guess it's just time to wrap this video up. So with that said, I would like to say that if I hadn't died here, my plan would have been to, farm up Countess and Dariel, then move on to Act 3, where in Lower Kurast I would have ran some super chests for Vex and Om, or either one of those to get my hands on Hodo or CTA, either of which would pretty much would have allowed me to, complete Hell difficulty on hardcore. Then, just in case, I probably would have farmed Mephisto as well for maybe a couple of hours, maybe a bit more, like 100 or 200 runs, just to get better gear, and at that point I would have definitely just completed the entire run with, Meteor Sorc. If you want some more info on how to approach later stages of Hell difficulty of a sorceress, you could check out a couple of my other videos, which are guides on Meteor Sorc with different setups. Perhaps you can find something useful over there. And yeah, I'll probably make an attempt number 2, completing all the way this time with a self-found sorceress, maybe paladin, most likely sorceress. But yeah, regardless, it's going to take at least a couple of weeks, if not more, to get up to this point. So yeah, your best bet in the meantime is checking some other videos out. And yeah, that's it for this video, that's it for this series. I hope you folks enjoyed it. I hope I was able to provide, some useful info, advices, tips, etc, etc. Please do let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or, any feedback, negative, positive, as long as it's feedback, I really will appreciate it. And yeah, thanks again for watching, have a nice day, and see you guys in some other video.